Today is our last session, and we're going to do a little summary before we begin. We have Dr. Kapoor and Tanu who have joined us today, and we are hoping to have a small discussion around the way forward immediately after the little summary that we do. And then when, if time permits, hopefully we will have another role play to end it. So that's the plan for today. So as Dr. Sunnu had asked me yesterday, I've just put it out here. This is something that you already have, this slide of what is the process of mediation. What I'm doing here is I'm just looking at what we do in each of the stages, because we've studied each of the stages in detail, each of the steps in detail, and we've also done some exercises in that. We've looked at what tools are available. So I'm just looking at what is our intention in every stage. We begin the process with an introduction. The introduction is generally the mediator statement, and you allow the parties a little time to give their own opening statements. The idea behind this is to create a safe space for people to be able to talk to each other, to build trust, that the mediator is neutral, impartial, that he or she is available to listen to you and to understand your perspective. This is also a time for you to empower the parties, which is the time that you ask the parties to speak. You listen to the parties more, because we are used to a legal system where we are always represented by lawyers, and the lawyers put up our case for us. But in mediation, we prefer that the parties do it for themselves, and therefore it's a way that we encourage the parties to speak. So even when the introductions are happening and the opening statements are happening, we encourage parties to speak more. We make eye contact with the parties. We ask them questions so that they start feeling confident enough to express themselves and trust us to talk to us about their problem. It's also a time to make them comfortable by explaining the process, explaining the fact that it is voluntary, and the fact that they can exit from the process easily. And most importantly, that eventually they are the ones who decide the outcome. We know that we have done good introductions when there's parties start easing into the conversations, when the parties start, enthusiastically sharing their side of the story. At this stage, we can expect them to be aggressive, we can expect them to be angry, we can expect them to be extremely positional, and it's completely okay. But the most important thing is for them to open up and start talking about their problem, because that's not something that we are used to in the conflict resolution space as yet. We are used to lawyers doing that for us. So that's what we do in the introduction stage. From there, we go to the communication stage. Parties, when they come to mediation, are not in a position, or generally have reached a stage in the conflict where they are not really talking to each other in terms of having a discussion that's productive, or that can lead to some logical conclusion. It's generally going in circles, or that in the worst case scenario, it has completely stopped. They are not in talking terms with each other. The idea of this stage is, first of all, to understand the problem, to gather the information, to identify issues, and to facilitate a dialogue between the parties. Our aim is that if parties have reached the table without looking at each other, are not making eye contact, are replying sarcastically, or basically not in a position to actually have a conversation. This is the time that we use to use the various tools that we had to be able to bring them to a position where they are conversing with each other. In the beginning, they will do it through you, but eventually they will turn towards each other and start talking to each other. That's what we're trying to do here. And also deeply understand the problem and gather all the information that you possibly can. In this stage, we had tools. I'm going to go to the next slide and just explain to you what were the tools that we used. We used active listening tools, verbal and non-verbal communication. We had summarizing, neutral reframing, rephrasing, restating, all of those kind of tools which were included in the active listening tools. In this stage, we identify what are the issues between the parties and understand the problem. And we use a lot of joint and private sessions. So those are the tools that we use in communication. And the intention is to understand the problem. The third stage is problem solving. Generally, when you are in communication stage, I told you there is a marked difference in the way parties enter a mediation, and somewhere down the line, there's a shift. They tend to start talking to each other. They start making eye contact. Sometimes there's a smile. Sometimes the responses are such that you can make out that there is collaboration, a possibility of a collaboration. When you start seeing that and you've understood the complete problem, you know that you have now reached a stage where you can move towards problem solving. And that's the time you go deeper into the conversation and start using tools of negotiation. The idea here is to transition from positions to interests, to generate options towards solving the problem. We explore BATNA, VATNA, ZOPA. We expect impasse, so we try to avoid it through various techniques. And if we do face it, we overcome it. And during this phase, we also build agenda and go point by point in trying to reach towards problem solving. And in our mind, we need to have a strategic process in terms of how we are proceeding with this negotiation. It's not just going with the flow. Till communication, we are going with the flow. But by the time you are at the problem solving stage, you have to control the process in terms of actually leading the discussion from point to point, not really leading the discussion towards something. It's about controlling the fact that the discussion doesn't go in circles or haywire. It has to be focused, and one way to bring focus is agenda. So that is what we do when we are trying to solve a problem. And what are the tools that we use? I think the tools and this is the same here, because we build the agenda, we transition to interests, we generate options, we explore BATNA, VATNA, ZOPA, and we use shuttle diplomacy. You will ask, what is the difference between using joint and private sessions and between shuttle diplomacy? Joint and private sessions and shuttle diplomacy, while the tool is the same, shuttle diplomacy is something that's more quick and it's related to just one point. Whereas joint and private sessions are used for several points. In the sense, it's to explore the story further, And sometimes it is used to avoid impasse. Sometimes it's used to explore Vatna, Vatna, Zopa. But shuttle diplomacy is generally used when you're stuck at a point and you want to resolve that point by using joint and private sessions and shuttle between two parties over one single point. So that is how shuttle diplomacy is defined. They are basically tools which are very effective for avoiding impasse. And that's the first three stages. The last stage is, of course, dominating a mediation. When we terminate a mediation, we should be aware that mediation can be terminated either in the form of a settlement, or sometimes when settlement is not reached, we need to close it in a manner that parties leave the table with hope. Even if no settlement is reached, there would be some things that would be achieved during the mediation. Either it would be some of the points that are resolved and some remain unresolved, or it is the fact that parties have been able to explore a process like this and have some amount of communication reinstated between them. They may have got a little better insight into their conflict. They may not be ready to settle immediately, but there is a possibility that they will settle at some later point in time. Give them that hope and let them know that mediation is a process that's available even at a later stage if they decide that they want to still explore a settlement at a later stage in the conflict. And that's about the tools of mediation. And and the process of mediation. If I know it's a short summary, trying to give you all a picture of what we've done over the last 3 weeks. If there's anything in this that you all want to look again, or for me to explain again, or anything that's not clear as yet, please let me know so we can look at it again. But this is basically what we've done over the last 3 weeks. Yes, Dr. Sunu?
This neutral reframing was something like what you do after restating, right?
Yes, which JP had a class
Yeah,
a week back, and he took you all through all the
right.
exercises, where that the brother and sister, and there were
Right.
angry comments, and then how he had to reframe it. So it's basically removing the emotional charge from the sentence and stating it in a way where both parties see the problem, as against one party seeing the problem and the problem being created by an individual.
Okay.
So you remove the
Thank
blame.
Right.
One question that's everyone had there on their mind was, what next? Firstly, we have focused here, the course that we have taken you all through is not just for medical professionals. Mediation is used in various disputes. We use them in family disputes, we use them in workplace disputes, we use them in commercial disputes, consumer disputes, all kinds of disputes. In fact, mediation is a process that's very effective even in diplomacy and matters of the state. Having said that, because you all are professionals in the healthcare industry, we must understand that within the healthcare industry also there are various kinds of disputes, and not just patient doctor disputes, which is what comes to your mind when you look at healthcare disputes. But we do have disputes within the organization which relate to administration, which relate to issues between residents and doctors, nurses and doctors, fellow doctors, management and doctors, management and unions. So those kind of conflicts also exist, and mediation is a very effective tool for addressing those kind of conflicts. As I'm sure each of you have understood the potential of the process once you've gone through it. There is also inter-organization, so where you are dealing with other organizations, corporates, with respect to supplies or service, or even joint ventures. Those kinds of conflicts are also, mediation is a very good tool, because it's about curating a solution, and also about doing it in a very discreet and confidential manner, which is preferred by most organizations. Then we have the service provider and consumer disputes, which of course include doctor-patient disputes, but it's also where the healthcare provider is the consumer of the service. So it could be large machines, and AMC is drawn out for those machines. It could be, between the lab and the lab and the lab service provider and the hospital. It could be various things. So those kind of disputes, and we know that disputes such as these do come up, and mediation is an extremely good tool to use for those kind of disputes. Also community disputes. This is of course not just in the healthcare sector, but we have disputes within the community, in the neighborhood. We have one of the common ones we are seeing today very regularly is disputes relating to stray animals, and people who feed them, and people who live in colonies. Then you have how the management of colonies, where you have people having disputes in terms of how they need to be managed, and sometimes they grow really ugly, and you have communication breakdown, you have very difficult relationships. It's better that those kind of disputes go into mediation, because mediation is a place where it doesn't escalate, and we take care that the relationship actually gets better after the dispute rather than get worse. So the opportunities for practicing what we have learned are a lot. We need more awareness in people that this kind of a technique exists, and or a way exists, and that people should use it. And of course, we need a lot more neutrals. So the idea is to have more neutrals where people, understand the process, practice the process, and also raise awareness within their circles that such a process exists. So what is the way forward? First of all, it's, as I said to you, it exists in all fields: corporate, social sector, non-profit, academic, where you feel that you still need, you need to practice, and you still don't have the confidence, or you don't really want to get into private cases immediately. We have an option to go for co-mediation, institutional mediation, and co-mediation in institutional mediation. And we also have volunteering options available to train mediators. You can also empanel with an institute and start your own practice. But most importantly, I would invite you to engage with your fraternity to initiate a mediation awareness program and a mediation center that is dedicated to healthcare disputes. That is what we endeavor to do, because it's a field that needs this. And we are hoping that we collaborate with all of you and are able to create something which helps us address this need in the healthcare sector. So that's the little bit of summary that I wanted to have for the way forward. And I've invited Dr. Kapoor, who has joined us today, to help us understand what he sees as the way forward for healthcare professionals in this field, and how we can make mediation a practice that can be used in this sector. Dr. Kapoor? You're on mute. You're on mute, doctor.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now.
Good afternoon, everybody. Looks like you had a really enlightening course. And from the summary itself, I could make out that really a lot has been covered practically very comprehensively. Now, as far as the doctor-patient disputes are concerned, they are fairly common in the sense when there is suboptimal result of treatment or adverse effect of treatment, patients' relatives are often dissatisfied and feel that they ought to be compensated for whatever damage was caused, because they feel the standard of care was not taken, and that is why this damage occurred. And often we have seen that this happens because of a breakdown in the doctor-patient relationship. And the mechanism of the breakdown of doctor-patient relationship is quite interesting. A patient or his relatives' question goes unanswered. The relatives want to know something from the doctor. The question goes unanswered for whatever reason. The unanswered question then becomes anxiety. The anxiety then becomes aggravation if it still remains unaddressed. And then the aggravation becomes anger. And then anger goes looking for an advocate or a media person or a social worker or NGO. And that is how the dispute escalates. So I'm sure you had this communication talks which you were addressed. They are really the key to avoiding the further escalation of the doctor-patient disputes. Now, usually, if we talk of corporate hospitals or large hospitals, there usually is, or at least should be, a robust grievance redressal mechanism, and which they do have, but I'm not sure how unbiased and neutral it is, because they tend to take the side of the healthcare provider, and that is where the dissatisfaction of the patient comes. Now, most of the time, just to summarize what I did say earlier also, we divide these cases of the so-called these cases of negligence into three types. One is the real negligence, where your own colleagues would say that yes, standard of care was not followed. You yourself feel that yes, because of your negligence, certain damage had occurred. Second, of course, is the perceived negligence, where because the relatives are lay persons, they somehow have the feeling that yes, there was negligence. And lastly, frivolous or vexatious kind of allegations against the healthcare givers. So, of course, the way we deal with it in AMC, Association of Medical Consultants, is that we first try to classify into one of these areas. Was it real negligence, which we often categorize as indefensible? That means the doctrine of res ipsa locator, where the facts speak for themselves. Suppose a surgeon operated and left an instrument in the abdomen, or left a mop or whatever, or operated on the wrong side, so there is no defense for it. So this is the facts speak for themselves, and there is no question of trying to resist the claim, and it's ideal for mediation, ideal for settling out of court. And the way we do it is that we do have a little panel, essentially of the two experts of that particular branch. Suppose it's a case of a gynecologist, then we have a gynecologist who is going to go into the facts, because after all, these are technical matters often, and who better to tell than a peer kind of review of the whole thing that happened. Now, the once we determine that this indeed is a case which ought to be settled in favor of the patient who did suffer some damage, this is again some kind of a chance is given to the person who has suffered. And it often happens that they make exaggerated claims. They say, I want 50 lakhs, 60 lakhs, 1 crore, and so on. So, which of course has to be explained, because there has to be some method in calculating. And as far as the insurance companies are concerned, most doctors have or should have what is called the professional indemnity insurance. Now, it's best for doctors to go in for a group insurance policy, because that is where we have special provision for mediation or for out-of-court settlement, which normally insurance companies are reluctant to do out-of-court settlement. And the reason why they're reluctant is they know that in our country, the cases take forever to resolve or for a final judgment to come, and they are in no hurry to part with the money. And yes, if a court orders, they feel that they will be happy to pay, but not for a settlement out of court, because they think that somebody might question their decision as to why it was done. So what we do is, having brought this matter before this panel, and of course we have also one of our advocates who is also told all the facts of the case. Now, the advocate in his wisdom has to give his opinion that is this case defensible or not defensible, or is it something that which ought to be better not allowed to go to court. Because every case, we do recognize that every case that goes to the court and where an adverse judgment is given, it creates a case law, or what they call the judicial precedent. And that is why, which may be not a good thing for the similar cases which may follow subsequently. So we'd rather allow an adverse judgment. We feel that it's better that it is amicably settled. And in the MOU which we have with the insurance company, we have this arrangement where this panel or our association is empowered to award a sum up to 10 lakh rupees without any question being asked. We don't have to take permission of the insurance company. That up to 10 lakh, suppose we feel that this person deserves up to that amount, then we only have to intimate to them that we feel we have gone into the discuss with both the parties, and we have come to the conclusion that indeed the patient deserves to be paid this amount of compensation. And if it is within 10 lakhs, we don't have to further take any approval from the insurance company. Of course, if it could be more, it could be 20 lakhs, it could be 30 lakhs in certain cases. Also, it is the settlement can be done, but it has to be, then we have to put the insurance company in the loop, and they have to kind of approve it and be convinced that indeed this case needs to be settled. So often, insurance company says, why do you want to settle this case? Because this is a case which can be fought on merits. And therefore, we will pay your legal fees. They are willing to pay your legal fees to fight the case. So we would not like to settle. Now that, of course, they do go by advice, technical advice that yes, this needs to be settled, even though there is a possibility that you might not get a adverse judgment, and that is how this is done. Most of the cases in USA are almost 93% cases get settled out of court. And the reason for this large number is that there the insurance companies are quite all right to mediate and to settle, because awards are quite high, say $1 million and all that. And they feel that the amount which they would pay in out of court settlement would be much less. But the only snag is, now question is, if you compare with the Indian scenario, the in USA, for example, if they were to settle, say, $1 million for some case, then the very next year, the premium, the insurance premium shoots up. You know, what they call loading. They load the premium, because after all, they feel that this person is at risk. It's just like your car insurance. If you get a ticket for crossing the red light, then they increase your premium, because they feel you're a risky driver and you might, you don't drive safely, so they would increase your premium. So that is how the loading comes up. Yeah. And therefore, of course, the other thing which I forgot to tell you is when we do settle through the insurance company, there is what is called a co-pay. Co-pay is what the doctor himself shares. So 10%, for example, if 10 lakh rupees is given as compensation to somebody, then 1 lakh is the co-pay which the doctor himself has to shell out from his own pocket. So that is that he should also feel the pinch and realize that he did err in some way, and that is how it operates. So I think the way forward is that insurance companies have to be sensitized more, because they are still extremely reluctant to settle even in deserving, genuine cases, and which leads to the person going to the court. If they are reasonable and if they recognize that yes, there was a damage caused and this person needs to be compensated. So that way, if you see the American cases, they settle far more liberally, and of course, the other thing that happens is often if it's a small claim, just like in your car, if it's a small claim, you don't claim from the insurance company, you lose your no claim bonus, kind of thing which you get for not having claim. So same thing in a medical claim. If it's not a big amount, the doctor prefers to pay from his pocket rather than let it go through the insurance, so he doesn't spoil his record of the safe practice. So that is how it happens. And I think even if the insurance companies decide to increase their premium, it is still the right thing to do, because it's not that there are no cases of negligence. People are negligent. Doctors are careless at times, and the patient needs to be compensated. So this is the way I think we are trying to do that, trying to sensitize, and also to have people trained in mediation who could possibly be referred to, and they, as Ganda said, they ought to not only be neutral, also appear to be neutral. So we refer them outside and not within our system, so that they don't feel that it's a biased kind of a decision or biased kind of discussion going on. So this is what it is. And if there's anything else anybody wants to know about the process which we follow, I'll be happy to answer.
Can I ask, sir? Can I ask a
Yeah, please
question?
go ahead. Yes.
You just mentioned that you refer to a mediator which is out of the system. I mean, what does that exactly mean?
No, really, I'm talking about the future of
Okay.
further improvement. So
Huh.
this is like a panel which is there, like trained mediators. For example, what Ganda is doing, training mediators, and have not within our system, but we have a panel of mediators to whom we can refer. They are not that way connected with us, or they
Right.
don't have kind of any kind of axe to grind, you know. So it gives more comfort to the complainant.
So it would then be better to have non-medicos deal with medical
Yes.
cases from the point
Yeah.
of neutrality.
Yes, I think so. There should be, but not just non-medical. It should be a combination. It should be a combination, because otherwise it could be a tilt. You know, it's like a blind person leading another blind person. The non-medical also doesn't know about so there has to be somebody to explain the the whole process, and where it could have gone wrong, and where it is something to be expected, and so on. So the fairness has to come out. It has to be represented. If it's only non-medical, now what is happening in fact, in the consumer courts, in the consumer fora, they're all non-medical people. The bench comprises non-medical people, which to my mind is not a very fair thing, because it's like they non-experts becoming experts. Okay, oh, why didn't you give this medicine? You could have given that injection, or you should have operated the fracture. You should have treated in this way. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's only another, for that matter, if there is a case of a orthopedic case, for example, fracture case, then there should be an orthopedic surgeon who ought to be saying whether the standard of care was followed or not followed. Not even another doctor who is not an orthopedic surgeon. So, for example, there's a cardiologist, he's a heart doctor. He ought not to be saying that this was not done properly, or vice versa. Orthopedic surgeon should not say this cardiologist, did not treat properly. So that is why the concept of having health tribunals is coming up. It has been suggested to the government to have health tribunals where experts of that particular with domain expertise are the ones who should take up the facts of the case should be discussed. And unlike now, of course, in consumer cases, even the Indian Evidence Act is not applicable. If you know, in consumer courts, fora, the Indian Evidence Act also is not there. So they don't even call experts. Okay, the bench that comprises of non-medical people, but then they should rely on experts, is it not? So even experts are hardly ever called, and they decide often in a layman-like manner, and it's more of a sympathy. It's like a road accident. The pedestrian is never wrong. The motor guy who knocked him, he's the rich guy. He's at fault, because even if the pedestrian, didn't follow the rules of the road, still the sympathy is with the pedestrian. So I think it has to be a mix of medical and non-medical, where the non-medical gives the person. It's like a jury, for example. Jury, they are non-medical people, is it not? So they look at the facts of the case, and not so much the law of the case.
Dr. Preeti, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. Sir, good afternoon. Nice to see
Good
you.
afternoon.
Uh,
Hi, hi.
so I'm a surgeon, and I think I've met you a couple of times in the AMC meetings.
Right.
I'm just wondering, sir, is that are we looking at a more structured thing even in AMC? Because a lot of times we have come across cases where even though they have insurance, a lot of the doctors just want to settle it. So there's a lot of mediation actually happening, but not really in the kind of structured process that we have been taught over the last 2-3 weeks. And
Yes, I agree.
and second question, sir, is I mean, what is the future prospect according to you as being part of the medical team from the legality point of view, from the consumer forum or from anywhere else? Do we or the insurance companies, are we expecting it to get more positive in the next few years according to your
Yes,
experience?
yeah, definitely. Definitely, we are expecting it to be more positive. Uh, in fact, we because the insurance people, when they are approached for these claims, they are extremely bureaucratic, and they come up with some very flimsy reasons not to settle, or which will not happen. We are trying to take more and more control of the decision making as far as settling is concerned. And the other thing which I missed telling you is, after once the suppose the figure is fixed, say 10 lakh rupees, we feel, and the complainant agrees to it, and there's a settlement, you all right, 10 lakh rupees. Then it's not done orally. One of our advocates makes an MOU. There is a proper MOU which would narrate all the uh, uh, happenings that occurred, and on what basis it has been decided to, as amicably, to settle amicably as a full and final settlement.
Right.
And that is on a stamp paper,
Hmm.
which is signed by both the parties.
Hmm.
Now, the only problem is that, see, there is a difference between out of court settlement and pre-litigation settlement,
Right.
which what we very often what we do is pre-litigation. Most of the time, what we do is pre-litigation.
Right.
Means before patient goes to court, which insurance company are not happy, but we have made them agree to that. That is pre-litigation, and their only objection, the objection of the insurance companies, is that this pre-litigation thing may not be binding. Now, but in my experience, in all these years, generally people have not gone back on on that signature, or on the terms and conditions. Only in one case, there was a man whose old mother died following cerebral hemorrhage, and he harassed the doctors. He kept saying that you have killed my mother, you doctors killed my mother, and all that kind of thing. And in the end, they got so fed up that they decided, all right, we'll pay him 5 lakh rupees. So they paid him 5 lakh rupees. He signed that MOU. Everything was done. And then after a few days, he went to Bombay High Court, and he said, Kesa told the court that these doctors made me sign this under coercion. They forced me. I was pressurized to sign this. Actually, I didn't want to sign, but they forced me. Only one case occurred where he went back, but he was thrown out of the court. The court said, look here, all right, you were forced to, then you took the check, you encashed it and all that, and now you have come here to tell us that you were forced to do that. So most of the time it happens, but we are trying to get some kind of a legal sanction for it, because if the case is in the court, then it's easy to mediate and easy to settle it, because then what is the consent terms, what are called the consent terms, are placed in the court, and the court takes cognizance of the fact that this is now settled and over and puts a stamp. Whereas that doesn't happen in our pre-litigation, because it's not in the court. So we were told that there is some way it can get legal validity, which we are trying to explore, because since the matter is not in the court, how do we get some stamp or some validity? But so far, as I said, we've not had problems.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Dr. Sudeep. I'm a Chief Operating Officer with Rubiol Clinic, Pune. I had a doubt where you said there should be an internal grievance cell. Now, I know that every hospital has a grievance cell for employees, but for patients, I never seen any hospitals having. Do any hospital have an internal grievance cell for patients? And if it is there, do patients accept it?
Yes, in Mumbai, many of the corporate hospitals do have an internal grievance cell for patients. As a matter of fact, in the Clinical Establishment Act and so many other, even the NABH accreditation, etc., it is a requirement that on the board outside in the hospital premises, you should put that in case of any grievance, whom they can meet or whom they can contact, what is the email ID, or you're required to put that there is the patient should know, okay, whom do I complain to if I have a grievance. So which even NABH, if your hospital is NABH, if I mistake not, they have a provision for informing patients as to how to contact the grievance mechanism. It is there. But as I said earlier, most of the time it's not quite neutral. This is my experience. They always dismiss because they don't tend to admit it. And often the patient, many times, all that the patient wants is for the doctor to accept the mistake, say sorry, accept the mistake, so that he feels that this same mistake should not occur again. All right, my patient suffered, my relative suffered, or I suffered. Other patients should not suffer. You should change your process or procedure or the way you are doing it. He's satisfied with that. So all patients who have grievances is not just to get money. In fact, we had one case in one of the large hospitals where the pathologist mistakenly gave report of cancer. This lady went with a breast lump, and the biopsy they did, and they said there is a malignancy, it's a cancer. And the patient they were quite sleepless because cancer was diagnosed, and they got the slides rechecked somewhere else, and the report was that it is not cancer. So this patient, of course, had a grievance, and he said, I want to be compensated for all the money that I had to spend and all the sleepless nights I spent. But after discussion with them, the relatives came down to the point. They said, look here, we don't want money. It's not money. And then in the end, they agreed to saying that, all right, we don't want any money, but we want you to donate 5 lakh rupees to a charitable institute, like say Tata Memorial Hospital, Cancer Hospital, or something like that. So that's all. They didn't want anything for themselves. So sometimes that also happens. And that is the role of the grievance, internal grievance mechanism should in some way acknowledge and admit that, yes, we will now take corrective measures. And sometimes that is all the relative the patient wants.
So there, we need to document it as a settlement that we do here in mediation.
Yes, documentation should be there. In
And
fact,
suppose
yeah.
that 5 lakhs is given to Tata Memorial as a compensation as per patient's request. We need to document it and close it there so that he
Yes.
cannot again sue us for this.
No, that would probably, it has to be on paper, no, somewhere. They would, in fact, they gave in writing that we don't want money. We want you to donate 5 lakh rupees to Tata Memorial Hospital, and you give us the receipt. That's all. So it's not oral. It's all in writing.
So that would stand in case of Consumer Protection Act that they have been compensated.
But no, not compensation. They didn't ask for compensation.
No, they
They
asked
said-
that money to be given to Tata, so that's a
That amount.
compensation.
It is, see, it's like when the court awards damages, something like punitive. There's something called economic damages, non-economic damages, punitive damages. So it's something like a punitive. That look here, you made a mistake, we suffered. Okay, we don't have money problem, but we want you to feel the pinch so that next time you will be careful and not make this mistake. I'm saying some patient, that is their intention, and not to say, you to knock out money or that kind of thing.
Dr. Rai, Dr. Kapoor, I'll just add to what Dr. Kapoor is saying. What you're saying is that, do you need additional, I mean, you are happy to pay that compensation, and according to you, that case is resolved. Yes, it's best to have another document or in the same document that there is no further claim from the patient
Correct.
against this hospital.
Correct, absolutely.
Just that one statement should be able to close that case for you, so that it's not, like this happens, and what you're worried about is what if they take this money and because it's not paid to them,
Yes.
basically you'd have nothing against, to say that they
Yeah.
still have
Yes.
a cause of action. So just to end that you all have deliberated on this cause of action and that there's no further claim, and this is the request from the party, and you have paid that compensation, and no further claims.
Matter is closed. Yeah, that's true.
Matter closed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay.
One minute.
Yes, Dr. Sunu.
Would it be justified to mediate for a colleague whom I know? I mean,
There would be bias. I think this Gadda would be the right person to
Yeah.
answer. The mediator, by definition, has to be neutral, is it not? So
yeah.
if he or she is your friend, bias is going to be there. So in fact, there would be a conflict of interest. So that is why many judges, they recuse from the case, because either they know the party or they had some dealing, or I don't know what are the other reasons, but they do recuse. Sorry, I won't hear this case. So similarly, if the mediator is known, it would not be right to. There is a conflict of interest.
Mhm.
So I'll add to that, to what Dr. Kapoor has said. Yes, ideally not to mediate a case where the parties are known to you, but for some reason, if there's an insistence from both parties that you should, mediate, and you feel that you can still maintain your neutrality, please be transparent.
Yes.
That, this is your colleague, he's known to you, and it's on the insistence of both parties that I am taking up this matter and that I will maintain my neutrality. Of course, the main thing is about your own moral compass, whether you can maintain neutrality or not, or you are already convinced that you are in that place to help your colleague. What's this thing? And the second thing is never to hide this fact.
Yes.
Always have that transparency that, because many times you need a mediator whom you trust. And if you are a person who holds that kind of position, sometimes you may get a request. For example, for us lawyers, we ask our fellow lawyers to mediate cases when we have issues between us. Those lawyers know us very well. That does not mean that we don't have them as mediators, but all of us are aware that, there is a prior relationship, but this person can still be a neutral and have that capacity of participating as a neutral, and that transparency is critical.
Ganda,
Yes, JP.
just want to add,
Yes, please.
in this case, they should take it in writing from both the parties that they have wanted, because otherwise tomorrow they may say that we did not agree. Then
Yes.
want her to mediate.
Yes. So Dr. Sunu, you heard that. Thank you, JP. Yes, Dr. Rai, you have a question?
This goes back to my question. If we
Yes.
are going to have an internal grievance cell within the hospital, I know each one of the doctor against whom the complaint is going to be, and he's my colleague.
Okay, so
In
there
that
is a,
settlement will have conflict of interest.
yes, so that is when I would invite you to have the grievance cell in such a way that you have a third party as one of the members to the grievance cell.
Yeah.
Understood?
When there's a conflict, we are there within the hospital.
Yes.
Getting the third party might take time, which might aggravate the situation.
Yes, so you have to first diffuse the tension, but a mediation is not just about diffusing the tension, it's about finding a settlement. So that process needs to be conducted by a neutral. I would insist that you have a neutral, somebody who is not similar to a POSH committee. You have a
The
POSH
party
committee which
has
is
to
rehearsed.
agree for the
Yes,
neutral
party has
person.
to agree, and that's when institutions play a vital role, because many times when you have a neutral institution whose whole role is to provide mediation services, and you say, see, we have this institution who is, this is our grievance cell, but if there is a dispute, we refer it to this institution. They have a panel of experts. None of the experts are our employees or are related to us, but they are industry experts, and they can help us resolve this case without going to court. Would you like to explore it? So that is the option that we are planning to put forward, where hospitals have a common place to go to in terms of neutrals, and invite all of you to be part of that panel of neutrals, so that you're available as experts for other hospitals.
Can I say something?
Yes, please, Dr. Subra.
One thing, Dr. Rai, this will be a voluntary thing. And as Dr. Kapoor mentioned, that it would be put on the board saying we have a grievance committee. So it's voluntary. So they are aware that these are the members of this committee. And most committees where you want to have independence or non-bias of the committee, 50% or more members should be external. So if you have 3 members, have 2 members who are external. If it's 5 members, at least have 3. So by that you inspire confidence that the internal members are not going to have their say by having a majority in the committee. Like in ethics committees, also we have that kind of 50% or more members. POSH committee also we have external members coming. So that would help in inspiring the confidence.
That's right.
That is where I started my question, that do hospitals have these grievance committee? Because see, what I understood internal grievance committee was that patient starts complaining, then there are coordinators who coordinate this, they talk to them. If they don't, then they take up to the medical director or the superintendent, and still if there is no settlement, they go off to COO or CEO of the hospital, where they are venting out their entire thing, and most of them they settle it off at that point. So this kind of system I knew, but having an external and completely with Subodh is saying a mix of people, and they coming down for that point of view at that moment is something which does hospitals have it, and if
No.
they then getting the process is something I would love to understand.
No. See, at the moment, I am not aware. I think most of the time they are purely internal, most of the time. And the way it works is that the person who has a grievance, he writes to the management, he writes to the superintendent or whoever. Now, in turn, the superintendent doesn't know the details of the case. So he, in turn, sends that grievance to Dr. A, B, and C, the doctors who treated the person, and says that, look here is a grievance, here is a complaint, and please, this is what they give them a copy. Please give your explanation in this connection. You tell us, you answer the allegation or whatever he has complained, right? And then in turn, those doctors, they give their explanation individually. that goes back to the CEO or the superintendent, and he then examines that. It's like conducting an inquiry. So he's conducted an inquiry, and he is then told by the CEO that, look here, following your complaint, we are sorry you suffered blah blah whatever, and I did initiate an inquiry, and I inquired from the doctors who treated you, got their thing. Sometime he may even share that reply to the complainant. Okay, this is what you wrote, and this is what they have replied. They have said that this is what happened or didn't happen, or it was a mistake, or was a mechanical failure, or whatever XYZ. So generally, but I have not heard of external people being put. That would be a big step. If that happens, that would evoke a lot of confidence in the fairness of the committee. But that generally doesn't happen because, sorry to say, my experience is that they become defensive rather than trying to go into it, because in fact, I would say a patient who is complaining against he has a grievance, is doing you a favor, because he's telling you that, look here, this is what was wrong, and you have a chance to improve. So I think it should be, but often it is not taken in that light. It is taken as an attack on the management, So, but yes, having external people would inspire confidence.
Right. Dr. Deepa, you have a question?
Madam, I actually want to add to this discussion a little. I think it was a similar question that I had asked yesterday regarding the incidents that happened in my hospital. So according to me, what is the other part of the discussion? It is probably trying to primarily prevent a conflict and confusing it with the mediation cell that we're talking about. And the neutrality in both places is now going to be very different, because when the matter is going to come for mediation, I mean, that is what I understood from what you said yesterday, that it has already passed these stages. So for grievance cell, it is going to be a completely different thing that we are looking at. And at a mediator, it's going to be another different thing that we are looking at. They're not the same thing. I mean, probably confusing neutrality of both the things would probably not be the best thing to do.
Yes, actually, we had a discussion on this yesterday, and Dr. Deepa brought out an incident that happened in her hospital yesterday itself, and she said, how do you diffuse this tension? And when she explained it to me, she said she got involved and she tried to resolve it. And she said, it was impossible because it kept on escalating. So then I explained to her that this may not happen in a mediation, because in a mediation, both parties have come to you. You are not getting into a dispute that's already escalated or in the middle of a dispute, and you are not volunteering there, but they are coming to you. So that's one part, and you are helping them find their solution. And that's the difference between a grievance and something that's just come up in the hospital and a mediation. So she's explaining the same thing, that perhaps the primary cell, grievance cell, is the way that Dr. Kapoor has described, which are all internal members. But we do have, once it reaches the fact that, okay, this is a conflict or this is a dispute that needs to be mediated, and parties are agreeing, that's the time you have an external person who can be brought in, either a private mediator or an institute, depending on what the organization has, or a panel of mediators that the organization itself has, which they can refer for medical disputes. So I think that sums up what the question was, and kind of what we discussed over the course, as well as what Dr. Kapoor said.
May I add a bit here?
Yes,
And take this, especially Dr. Deepa, your discussion of this problem yesterday. See, just as we have levels and levels of courts, right? We have the first court, then there's an appeal, and then there's more of an appeal. I would think within mediation also, if for example, your grievance officers, whoever, they're all internal officers, but a grievance officer is trained to a certain extent in the concept of mediation, that first level intervention can be pretty soothing for the patient grievance. Not necessarily everything will get resolved there. A large part can get resolved, but if they don't get resolved, then you go to a higher level where you have completely outside mediators. So, you're still working towards finding a solution within the whole mediation complex, rather than jumping into a very aggravated zone of litigation. So I would think that initial training of grievance officers to handle things, to diffuse things and to have a basic understanding, a basic skill of mediation could help a lot in diffusing tensions.
Yeah,
And
actually,
doesn't resolve there, sorry. If it doesn't resolve there, move on to a proper panel, which is an external panel with any institution.
yeah. So actually, hello, can you hear me? Yeah, so that's what I meant when I said that these mediation courses are excellent for these hospital administrators, people who are likely to be on such a grievance committee, because they would be trained to diffuse and also to conduct it skillfully, the inquiry, so-called inquiry. And that makes a lot of difference. Because I have seen just the body language, the tone, they say, no, nothing is wrong. I mean, it puts off the person and he feels that I'm not going to get any justice from this committee, that they are clearly biased. So if they are trained, at least they would give a semblance of appearance, at least appear to be neutral, if nothing else, if they appear to be neutral, it would go further. Otherwise, it stops there itself. Okay, no, useless. These people are all ganged up. They are mixed up, So I don't want to go. He goes out. So that is what I said. That your mediation courses are excellent for such kind of people, and they need to come and attend these courses. We have to motivate them.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
I would agree with Dr. Lalit. I, as a head of unit, have learned extensively from Gandaji, Tanuji, and JP sir. This will definitely help me in dealing with people in my hospital and creating that awareness of how they can handle patients before even they come up to me, and then how we take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sudhir. And of course, we have learned from you, because we had a fantastic group of participants here who brought in so much of their own experience to the room, and we have learned from each one of you. All our role plays, all our exercises were a notch higher right from day one, because we had so much experience in the room. It's it's been one of the better courses that we have run, because of the kind of expertise that you already have. So this is just giving you all a structure, but I think the innate qualities and the expertise already exists in each one of you. So if we don't have for more questions, we can proceed to the role play. But we can wait for more questions also. We still have some time. And before we conclude, I would want conclude this session. I want JP to put on his video if possible, and we can have a picture together. He's on the airport. Also, Rushali, Dr. Ketki, Dr. Deepa, if you can. Mrinalini, you can help me?
Yes, sure. Okay. So I take the picture in three. Okay, I think someone just turned on the video. Okay, Shaliman has turned it on. Okay, in 3, 2, and 1. Yes. Done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You.
Yes, Dr. Sunu?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, are there any mediations which we can witness, somewhere online or, right from the beginning to the end, just to get a gist of what actually happens? Can we witness them anywhere?
Okay, so this is a request that has come to us before. We can share some video with you. Give us some time. The reason we don't demonstrate the entire thing is because sometimes it's taken as the way to do it. Whereas mediation is a very dynamic process. Each person has their own style, and it's not correct to say this is correct and this is wrong, because each person brings in their own unique way of doing things, and we don't want to impose that, okay, this is the way to ask a question or this is the way to do it. It's a structure we give, and within the structure you have your own personality that comes out. So that's the reason we don't show a demo, because once you show a demo, for example, we've given you a checklist. You'll read that checklist and you'll try to go and tick off everything in the checklist. That's not how it is. It's a spirit, and then you incorporate it in the way, in your own way. But moment you have a demo, people tend to be like, oh, you said it like this and we should say it like this. So it's almost like saying that that's the correct way and every other way is wrong. And that's the reason why we don't demonstrate it. But yes, we can find out if there's something that you can do. You can have a look at it in one shot. Also, the thing about observing is mediations rarely end in one session. So you would have to observe over a period of time. And yeah, we do offer opportunity as well. CMC offers an opportunity for observing. So that's something that you can explore. You will be getting a call from them next week along with your certificates in terms of the empanelment and opportunities for observing and for becoming a part of CMC. So that's another process that they will get in touch with you directly. Yes, Vrushali?
So can we be on the panel of multiple institutions at a time, or it has
Yes.
to be only
Yes.
one?
No, there is no restriction. There's no exclusivity. You are an independent practitioner and you can empanel on as many institutions as you're eligible to, in the sense you meet their criteria for empanelment.
Ma'am, just out of curiosity, how many mediators are actually there at CMC right now? I mean, or possibly in Bombay? You all seem to be the only one that is.
No, there are
more?
many mediators.
Okay.
I'm not sure how many are on the CMC panel. Neha is not here right now, so I'm not sure about that. But definitely quite a lot of mediators. It's not very few, but I am told, at least JP has told me this, one of the reasons why they didn't want to make mediation mandatory under the Mediation Act was because there are not enough numbers. But that doesn't mean that it's just one or two. There are several. There are very senior mediators in all courts and private practitioners also. We also have mediators who are non-lawyers. I know of engineers, architects who are mediators. And even people from the corporate sector where people have worked for several years and and now gotten into mediation. So there are various types of mediators, and they all focus on different types of cases also. Psychologists at times get into mediation, but I don't have the exact numbers, but definitely
Average,
not in,
approximate, not.
yeah,
not in-
but
is it in
definitely
hundreds
not
or-
a handful.
Okay.
There are quite a few. I'm sure in hundreds at least, maybe even thousands.
And would it be ethical to, ask a colleague in case you're doing a mediation about a case and you're maybe, with a co-mediator and you need some external idea or some help? Is that allowed? Can we speak? Not
So-
giving details of the case, but is that can help be taken?
So we do have the concept of bringing in an expert in mediation. If that's, I mean, I'm not sure if I've understood
No,
your
no.
question.
I mean,
but
one mediator to another. I mean, how would you tackle a situation? Obviously, each one has their
you
own.
can, as long as you don't disclose
Right.
the party names and then complete details about the conflict in such a way that you disclose what the conflict is. You have to make it an hypothetical situation and then talk about it, and
Okay.
not disclose area, place, all that. So I'm guessing what you're asking me is that you are in a mediation and the question relates to how do I move forward, or I'm in this problem, how can I solve it?
Right.
Something like that.
Right.
That can be done, but of course without compromising the confidentiality of the facts and the parties to the dispute.
Okay.
And
Thank
if
you.
you share facts, which actually is a case which is quite famous and everybody knows, then you're actually compromising the
Right.
confidentiality. So
Yeah.
that have to
I
be
think
careful.
JP did mention that you have frequent meetings where the mediators meet and discuss about the course of action taken in different matters. Did he say something like that, or that's what I heard?
Dr. Sudhi, Dr. Sudhi, Dr.
I think there's a
Dr.
bad net.
Sudhi, that's what I was just going to say. That's where brainstorming happens.
Fortunately, we didn't get you.
For purposes of brainstorming, you actually need to do that. Together over the weekend, or and then discuss this kind of things happen. How can you now move forward, or what kind of options can be generated? We do that. Don't compromise. Can you hear me?
Now.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
now we can hear you. Please repeat yourself.
Yeah, as far as I remember, till he comes back, what I had asked was a question on being burnt out. And that's where he had responded saying that they do have a get-togethers after they have these things once in a while, where they talk out about their problems and complications and problems where they had and how they had an impasse or what they can do, so that they went out. That is what I remember.
I thought I heard the word brainstorming.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you.
Okay, that I mean the airport, what happens. Okay,
Yes.
yes, Dr. Sudhi, that's right. Over the weekend, a few of us get together, some senior mediators, and people come and tell us that these are the issues that they faced. They were not able to generate options in those facts. What can be done? We do discuss. Of course, as Ganda says, don't compromise confidentiality. We don't have to name parties. See, as doctors, you don't tell people that, this person came and this is the problem that he had. We never talk about that, right? So similarly, in mediation, we don't name the parties who came. We tell them, look, these parties came, they had this issue. how can we move forward as you just now said, or how can we, what kind of options can be generated? What are the alternatives that we can look at? So all that we do discuss. That's the only way to move forward. We take the help. See, that's what, capacity building is about. Like Tanu, Gandha, people who've been doing it, they are the ones you can go to, sometimes and say, look, I was doing this mediation, because as Gandha says, it will never get resolved in one session. So when you adjourn the matter, you can talk to them, call them up and say, look, I was stuck in this situation. What can I do further? And that can be done. You can.
I like to join those weekend meetings whenever possible.
No,
In short, we discussed
it will
the
be
draft
fun.
the people. Sorry, JP.
No, it will be, yes, no, it will be fun. I mean, I'm sure, these people from America said that we don't usually permit that, but I feel in India, if we have to take it forward, we actually need to do this. That's the only way you can build capacity. There's no other way.
We could also probably join online for those who are out.
Yeah. I think numbers, all the numbers, Gandha, Tanu, me, I mean, all of us are available. Anytime you feel or you want to come, you join those sessions, we'll tell you. And you're most welcome to join.
No, we'll learn a lot from those discussions possibly. And while you are maintaining confidentiality, maybe that experience will help us if you are allowed entry into that particular room.
See, since some of us only head it, so I'm sure we can request others and you can join. No problem.
And Dr. Sudhir, Pune is not too far off from Mumbai.
Driving through express highway for 1.5 hours to and fro. Believe me, it's not easy.
Okay, thank you everyone. I'm going to board my flight, and it was really fun being with you all. And really thank you, Gandha, Tanu, giving me this opportunity. Like there's always learning, I always learn. Whenever we do these sessions, there's always so much to learn. Thank you so much. I'll be just now going, I'm boarding my flight.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you, JP.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you all.
much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Such a strong pillar of support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
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 Safe flight.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so let us begin with our role play. So today we have Dr. Rai and Dr. Ketki who will be taking the role of mediators. And we have Dr. Subodh who has volunteered to be John. And who else? We need one more volunteer for Maya. If not, then I'll request Kamakshi to help. Because I know that Roshali and Dr. Deepa are busy. So
Both and Kamakshi as the people, I think I and Ketki will have a tough time to mediate.
thank you, Tanu. Tanu is also going to leave. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tanu.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was great seeing this whole batch here together. And I'm sure now you'll have your inner circle. And we look forward to you being on different panels across your grievance redressal schemes, mechanisms, apart from, of course, being on the panel of CMC. So see you soon, and good luck with this role play, and best wishes for the rest of the time. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Tanu.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Sudhir, you have a conflict of interest. I know you.
Still, John, I'll give you all the benefit. Don't worry.
But I have had experience where the parties have insisted, even if they know that, the mediator, they have insisted, no, we want you only. It's okay. But it's good to take JP's advice and take it in writing from Dr. Subodh that he has agreed, that Dr. Sudhir will be the mediator despite him being known. And and Kamakshi, of course, because she's the one who doesn't know Dr. Sudhir.
John is okay. I don't know about Maya.
So Maya ji, are you okay?
Maya is okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Ketke ji?
Yeah, hello.
Right. So you
She's
will,
the real neutral.
so you say, because it's conflict of interest, you can start or I can start, whichever you are comfortable.
Whatever it is,
Okay,
convenient
my
to you.
request to both of you is
Can
to
I
keep
start?
Dr. Ketke, my request to both of you is to keep the opening statement really short, because you all are already very good at it. We will look at the other stages,
Yes.
and maybe even try and see if we can come to some form of settlement here today. We are at 4 o'clock and we are aiming at closing between 5 and 5:30. So, okay, I'm going to put my camera off and all the best.
Thank you. So can I start?
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you. Welcome all. Welcome Maya and John for this mediation. Okay, everybody's comfortable with English here. And
Yes.
do you have your counsels along with you or not today?
No, no one has come.
You both will talk, I think. Okay,
Yes.
no, that's all right. I appreciate that you have come here for mediation and you're looking forward to resolution of your issue. And I assure you that all the proceedings here will be confidential and there'll be no recording. Even you can't record anything, but there will be no statement in court regarding this later. And it's very voluntary. I don't have any conflict of interest because I don't know both of you. And I'll try to be impartial and neutral to both of the parties. Okay. Only obligatory reporting, if any, would be done. Otherwise, it will be fully confidential. And I assure you, I'm not a judge. I'm not going to judge you at all. And I'm not going to force any settlement on you. So I'm only responsible for conducting this process of mediation and facilitate a dialogue between you. And I think you are more than capable of having your own issues resolved. Okay. So we have already discussed our fees and we have signed an agreement. And this is the mediation room for our joint session. And there is a restroom next to us. And there are private session rooms if required. So we'll take a private session as well. So we'll just set some ground rules. Okay, we'll speak in turn. I will have my statement in a very short duration. Then we'll allow you both to speak. And if someone is speaking, the other person will not speak. The other person will take notes. And then even he will get a chance to respond. Okay. And only thing is no abusive language, please. No taunts or shouting or something like that, please. So we will do it. And I assure you the result is totally in your hands. So we may have to address you in a private session, but don't worry about that. We'll keep this is only for understanding your perspective and we'll keep it neutral for both of you. So there'll be no partiality or anything on our part. Okay. And even at the end of this, if you think you can reach a settlement, well and good, we'll let the lawyers draft a settlement agreement for you. And that will be it. We'll read it. We'll confirm that whatever we discussed is in that draft. And if you're comfortable with it, then we'll sign. If there is no settlement, that is also okay. We'll find a closure. Nothing is compulsory. Is it okay if you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we will start. Is it okay, Dr. Sudhir? You want to add something?
Well, first is we are Dr. Advocate Desai. We practice in High Court and we have mediated more than 100 cases. We would be more than happy to get you people to some resolution which would be understandable and acceptable to both of you. Maya, if you've brought your kid along, you can definitely go and attend to her in between if you feel that's any need to do so. If there's anything, definitely tell us.
So can we ask Maya to speak now?
Anybody?
Is it okay?
So should I go ahead then?
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, I'm Maya and I'm an artist doing theater. And well, clearly, John and I have been together for many years now. We were together for 5 years. We then decided to take the plunge into marriage, and we had a daughter. And of course, post that, not everything was too well because, we are artists. So sometimes we have work and that time everything is all right. There are stretches of time when we sometimes don't get that kind of work. And after our daughter Mary was born, some differences started to arise between us. But we still sort of always had a very open relationship in terms of we would communicate with one another. We both cared for our daughter. But slowly that started making things difficult for us. So there were issues that were cropping up, and particularly finances that were not really going our way. So this kept happening for a while, and then John's parents brought an offer by which there was a opportunity for him to take up a job in Kochi, in his hometown. And we discussed it and realized that there was not really too much option. And so we moved to Kochi. When we moved there, it was decided, and this was a conscious decision that the two of us had taken together to, for our future, that we would take up a separate place and we would be able to stay there. And of course, he would then pursue work. I would also look for work. But once we reached there, things became very different. His job was a small-time job. He was working as a manager in a restaurant of a family member, and he was working for long hours. I had not gauged the amount of isolation I would face in that space because obviously I don't speak the language, the local language. So there was no way I could find work. I was at home all the time. We had to stay with his parents because that was, what John said. Once we reached there, though, we had categorically agreed that we would take a separate place. And post that, things became extremely difficult for me. So I stayed there still for a year, and after a point of time, it was extremely difficult for me, as well as my daughter. And I decided to visit my friends because I was missing them a lot. So I came to Mumbai. I had come for a week. I had informed John about it as well, and he was completely okay with it. And when I came to Bombay, I just realized what I had gone through while I was still there. And that was something that I couldn't take myself back. So I decided to stay on. And I decided to stay on for, in Bombay for a while. And this kind of really offended John. I think he's never really, bothered to take my perspective and understand, because in this 1 year, he's been extremely busy. There's no time for us to really even sit and have conversations. Yes, there are occasional holidays, which are very, very rare. When he does have days off, he used to sort of give me time, and he would also, of course, look after me, after Mary. But that was far and few. I was left all by myself all the time. And I just feel that he doesn't want to understand me at all. There's, he doesn't care. And therefore, once I went to Mumbai and I said I want to stay here for a bit, and I really want to pursue my own interests here, as well as meet friends and family and literally talk to people. But now he doesn't even want that. So he sent me a notice for restitution of conjugal rights, and now he wants me to come back and live in that hell once again.
So let me put this in words, Maya, if you have concluded. Can I go ahead, Maya?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, John, from what I understand, Maya has put it that after a nice 6 years of lovely life, you had a young baby who was so sweet that both of them put your heart together on that baby. But because of the professional setback of not having a job, and luckily you got a job that was put in from your family, you traveled to Kochi, and though it was a different place, you people did try to get a job, and you did a job lovingly with a lot of time being put in it, and taking care of the baby, which was also something which you did. But due to not able to get a job for Maya, you people both decided to come back to Mumbai, and things didn't seem to play. And because she went ahead with the baby, so you really want her to come back in your life. This is what she is not able to cope up. So what is that you have to say towards to her?
Can we ask John now to speak? Mr. John?
Advocate Desai and Dr. Ward, I'm really sorry to see the way she has described all this. A marriage is a meeting of minds and not only a physical union. Before we got married, as she's already said, 5 years we have known each other. We knew that there were differences of our religion, that I speak a different language. My family comes from a different background. Their cultural differences are there. I've taken her to our village before we actually got married. So there was a clear, transparent communication about what this marriage is going to be like. We also knew that we had financial concerns right from the beginning. And by the very nature of the profession that we are in, we get jobs sometimes, we don't have jobs for months together. We had an understanding on this, that our relationship will last irrespective of this financial constraint. We used to work together on many assignments, and that's when we got close to each other. It was not just a physical attraction, but a union of minds. And I continue to have that kind of attitude towards her. But imagine after we have a child whom I love so much as I love Maya, she just picks up the child and goes away on the pretext that she wants to visit Mumbai. Isn't this dishonesty? And I just can't put this in words. She has cheated me. What do you think, Advocate Desai and Dr. Ward? She just takes my child away, who's just 2 years, who's very innocent, doesn't know what's happening. The difference is between me and her, the financial constraints that we have. Why that poor child is brought in between, who is probably suffering because of this separation. I tried to reason out with her that we knew these problems right from the beginning. I'm trying to make a beginning, have a stable job, bring in more money so that we have a house of our own. But a house cannot be built overnight. We are not so rich. We have to build brick by brick. And for that, we need to I have to work hard. I'm working 18 hours a day. Is it only solely for me? Is that money only for me? It's for Maya and her child. And while I'm doing this, I'm just suddenly hit with the fact that Maya is gone with the child. The two important people of my life suddenly disappear on the ground which I'm trying to bring back. I'm building that brick. I'm trying to build that house, and she's gone. There has to be some kind of understanding. What do you think? Is this cheating or dishonesty? What is this? I just can't accept the fact a person I knew for so many years suddenly goes back, doesn't understand me. It's not Maya anymore. Or while I don't know whether all this was Maya all throughout. Please help me understand and get me back the life I always look forward to. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maya, for listening it patiently. You have heard that John really has the same thought, that where you people have really felt that you should stay together and you should be growing together. Of the period, definitely you people took a different thought process, is what it is looking out, he feels, and he loves you and the child alike, is what he says, and is looking to have a future with you and a house of your own. So, what do you have to say, Maya?
Advocate Desai, now you apply, I mean, you think about it. This is a man here who I trusted, who I went, left everything here, my career, my everything, went to Kochi, and now he claims that I'm a cheat. If I'm a cheat and I'm so bad and I'm all these terrible things that he's saying about me here in public,
What
then why
career,
does he want me back?
Maya, what career are you talking about? Did you have a career? Why
John,
are you playing that
We
card?
will let her,
John,
yeah, only one person will talk at a time. Let Maya speak, please.
Sorry about that.
he waited for you to talk completely. I would expect and be happy if you respect each other. Listen comfortably. We'll come to something that both of you would really love to be together, and whatever you want should happen. So let Maya speak, John, and then we'll take it with you. Yes.
Look, I'm saying something very simple. If you are saying I'm a cheat, I went this, I went that, and I'm so bad, I didn't want to live with your family, and all these kind of, stories that he's creating at this point of time, most of which are not even true, then why does he want me back? I mean, the basic reason why we are here is he's filed for restitution of conjugal rights. If I'm so bad, you should be happy that I've gone away from your life, no? I'm not even stopping you from meeting our daughter. So just let's end it here only, if that's what you want.
But this is not
Okay, Maya, I understand, Maya, because you are upset that he's said something like this. But I think let him speak for some time and then you discuss all these things. Okay? Yeah, please, John.
Advocate Desai and Dr. Ward. I'm not talking about, see, maybe she's misguided. She's gone back to Mumbai and I don't know whom she has talked to. Otherwise, a person whom I know for so many years, almost 8 years, we've been together for so many years, we have shared our problems together, we've lived with those problems, and we were emerging out of those problems, suddenly changes. I'm sure she's misguided. She's behind a veil of some deceit, or somebody has actually brought in a veil. I want to lift that veil so that I have my Maya back. I'm not complaining of dishonesty per se. That was not my intention. But if somebody goes without even telling me the truth, why she's taken the child like this, that child is mine too. I have feelings for that child too, as much as she has. It's not only just meeting the child once in a while. That's not what a parent wants. It's not just meeting, it's being with the child. See the child grow in the formative years. This is what a parent wants. And a child wants both the parents. That is why, like they would miss either me or her. It can't be one parent bringing up the child. And we have discussed all this. We have seen days where we could really not afford 2 meals per day also. There have been difficult times, but she has stood by me. I have stood by her in those difficult times. Now, I don't know what has become so difficult to live with now. This is what I'm not understanding. Maybe I use the wrong
would
words.
understand, take time and understand, we would have not reached this
Maya,
stage.
Maya, please,
No, no,
please,
please,
let me finish. Let me finish. So, my words of deceit and all did not implicate her. My intention was that all this while we had this transparency, where is that gone? It is only the heightened passion which has brought me to say these words. If that hurts, I'm ready to withdraw that. But please see the emotions behind that. I'm missing both of them. I want them back. The legal notice has gone because I want them back. It's not because I want to intimidate them with some legal action. If that was the only intention, I would stand by the legal action and not come here on the table.
Yeah.
Okay,
I understand, John, that you want your family back, and you understand this love for you have this love for Maya and your child Mary also. So I think, can we have a private session with both of you so that we'll understand the things better and have a clear perspective?
I think things are pretty clear. I don't know what Maya wants to tell you
We'll
or what
talk to
more
you
I have
both
to tell.
separately, and then again we'll let you talk with each other in the joint session. No issue at all. Is that okay with you?
I'm okay if it helps. I'm ready to do anything.
Fine,
Are you
ma'am.
okay with it, Maya?
Yeah, absolutely.
anybody would love to go first, or somebody would love the other one to go first?
I have nothing much to say. If Maya has to say something, let her tell you.
So Maya, can we speak together?
Yes.
Do I go in the lobby?
Gangaji, how do
Yeah.
we
I think
how
we
do
can
we take
just,
this?
yeah, I think it's
Maya,
know-
you want me out, right?
In this session, it's better that you all just put off your video and wait.
Ah.
There is no, I mean, basically we are not doing a competition, so it's okay. Dr. Rai, you had your hand up. Was it for some?
It was for Ketki, because trying to tell her that can we go here for a private talk. She really took it up. Thanks.
It's going very well. So let's just do one thing. Let's stop a bit and ask if how did the parties feel in terms of, did they feel that it is safe for them to share in this space? Because that's what we are looking for. Do you feel that the mediators are trying to help you? The mediators are neutral? Any comments on that?
Yeah, so far I think it's going on well, because there doesn't seem to be anything that is sort of pointing a finger towards you. So there is a space for you to be able to talk.
Okay, so that's best is where the parties give you feedback of how they feel. Yeah, let's go ahead.
Yeah, though John was a bit aggressive and getting emotional, they managed to control John in a proper manner so that there is-
Also, one little point, this is good for this session, but in practice, sometimes parties will fight with each other. It's okay to let them in the beginning. A little space is okay to be given. You don't have to immediately stop them unless you, and in a matrimonial matter, it happens a lot. Give them that space, but see that you end that fight before you close the session. Never leave an open fight before closing. Even if it means you exceed your time, be very clear that you don't end the session with a fight. Give them space, then come in, close it, and then so every session has to be treated like that. Not so important in commercial matters, but in a matrimonial, because we don't know. Sometimes they're still co-parenting, sometimes they are still living in the same space. You don't want them going home and fighting after a mediation. So you want to close it at a good place. So yeah, please continue.
Yes, Maya, can we speak?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So can you tell me a bit about your relationship in Mumbai and then when you went to Kochi?
Yeah, so see, like I said earlier also, we are basically artists. So there is a lot of volatility in not only our profession, but just how we are as people as well. So
Hmm.
we ride on emotions most of the time. And it's not just for me, but it's for both of us. And John and I have known each other now for like many years. We've been, like I said, together for 5 years before we got married and we had our child. And though it's not always been like hunky dory, but it's been a very beautiful relationship. I've loved him all my life. And we had problems while we were in Bombay, and they cropped up primarily after the birth of my daughter. And we belong to different religions. So
Yeah.
he follows Christianity and I follow a different faith. And we've been open enough to discuss about it. He's never interfered in my faith. And I've always allowed him to do what he chooses to do. We decided that our daughter would be brought up Christian and that she would take up his name. And so we take her to church as well. While we were still in Bombay, she was, of course, very small, but that was the responsibility primarily taken up by John completely. Um, and I would do my own thing. When we went to Kochi, one, of course, living with his parents was extremely difficult for me. Not because I don't want to stay with them, but for the sheer fact that we are very different culturally, and in terms of how we basically choose to live our lives. So there is a lot of differences. I respect them a lot. I visited them earlier, but they're not people who I want to be living with all the time. For the sheer fact, at a very basic level, is because we don't understand each other's language. So it is extremely difficult for me. I was living in a place for an entire year where I couldn't talk to anybody.
Hmm.
So it was something that was so difficult for me to be able to deal with. I had a young child who I was taking care of, and that is a job in itself. It's a difficult task. Uh,
But
Nobody
yeah,
there to understand what I go through. John was always busy working 18 hours a day, so there was no time with him as well in that sense. So I was in the strange land with strange people, and when I say strange, I mean people who you don't really know and you can't talk to, taking care of a child whole day, not doing anything that is what I was used to, what I like to. When in Bombay, I had a whole group of friends and support, a very robust support system, which is something I completely missed. And there was nobody really to talk to even on that ground. So obviously expecting me to just come back and stay in that space, that's not happening. I mean, I'm very sure about that. I don't want to go back to Kochi and stay there. At least go back into his parents' home. Yes, if he decides to take up a different place, I'm
okay.
happy to go back because at least that will give me a space of my own where I can do my own thing. But I can't be living in somebody else's house and and struggling in one room, not being able to get out the entire day. So that's basically what my concern is.
Have you and John taken any steps about it when you
Well,
discussed it
we are on
previously?
we are on two different footings. He wants me to come back because he's not willing to understand.
No, but regarding your, have you discussed
The
these issues?
yes, the backbone of our relationship was our communication. But
Yes.
if he's not willing to take my viewpoint, in the past 1 year, I've been struggling to try and tell him that, I'm alone, I don't have anyone to talk to. Yes, on occasions where he did have holiday, he did give me that time. I'm not denying it. I mean, there's never a time that I have said it. He's a bad father because he's not. But if he doesn't have the time, what am I expected to do?
So how do you feel now regarding this marriage?
See, as far as the marriage is concerned, I've always maintained, and I will, that I absolutely love John and I want this relationship to continue. I don't want to break it off. Having said that, I think for some time it works well that I stay back in Mumbai because I have found myself a job. A friend of mine has been kind enough to be able to offer that to me when she found out that I was in this kind of a state when I landed in Bombay. So I have a job, I can take care of my own expenses, I can take care of the expenses for Mary as well. But at this point of time, going back to Kochi and staying with his parents is just something that is unacceptable to me. I think it's not right for me because I need to be able to take care of my own self. And for my own mental well-being, I think it is fundamental that I stay back in Bombay for some time, at least till we are able to sort this issue out between us, and he's able to actually find a place for himself, maybe another job, so that we can live our own independent life.
So what is your opinion? Does a separate job in Mumbai or a separate house in Kochi or something like that for this
Something
thing?
like that.
Resolve
Till
Mumbai
whatever
issue?
works. I mean, right now I have a job in Mumbai, so obviously
Yeah.
I want to pursue that. But if John is in a position to be able to have a house, I mean, he's saying it's not possible right now, but in whatever 6-8 months, if he's able to find a new job and have a house, and I'm not even expecting something great. I mean, just a small place of our own where we can live independently. Until then, we can have an arrangement by which we do to and fro. I can go there on weekends or he can come here. So Mary has the chance to meet her grandparents as well as be with both her parents occasionally. And there's actually one more thing that has been bothering me a lot. So, like I said, I follow a different faith from that of Christianity, and John is a devout Christian, so he likes. He likes that Mary should be taken to the church. And while we were back in Kochi, and he was always busy, I would have to do that all the time. I don't have a problem if she's going to church. I don't even have a problem sometimes going along with them. But it can't be something that becomes my responsibility to do every Sunday. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's a thing of faith. So that is one thing I would really like it if that is something that is taken up by John, and it then becomes sort of he shoulders that part
Okay.
of the
Okay.
upbringing, particularly that part of the upbringing. And also I'd want her to experience and explore other religions, not to follow them, because we've already taken that decision and we are very clear on it, but just for her to learn and experience how it is to live in this diverse nation. So just to experience that diversity and eventually grow into a more tolerant human being.
Yeah. And can I ask you one more question? That if this matter is not settled according to your wish, how do you see your future? I mean,
See,
what are your?
see, I'm very clear. I'm not going back.
Okay.
So if John insists on pursuing the matter in court, then I will go ahead and pursue it. And of course, I have very valid enough grounds for me to be able to pursue it. And firstly, of course, it's a restitution of conjugal rights matter, which I don't think will stand in court at all. So I don't even think that is, that's a point. But it's not something that I'd want to even sort of pursue right now or
Right now.
talk about it.
Yeah.
But very clearly, yes,
Yeah.
I'm very certain about this. I think for my own health, as well as for the future of my child and her health as well, because if the mother is not going to be mentally fit, she's not going to have the best life as well. So I am definitely not going back to his parents' home. I'm very, very clear about that. And it's not because I don't respect them or that I have any disliking for them. That's not the case. It's just that we are so different that it's not possible for me to go back.
I understand. If Advocate Desai has to say something, ask something, Otherwise, we can take a private session with John as well, who's waiting.
Which part of this discussion you would like to expose it off to John as a part point, which he has not spoken to?
The only thing he should know is that I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back until he gets a house.
Would you like to open and talk on these points when we sit together again?
If he's willing to listen. If only he's willing to listen, I'm open to talking to him about it.
So can we talk to John for a while now?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we move out, John can come in.
Hello, Advocate.
John, video.
Yeah, hi.
Video.
Sorry. Yeah.
So hi, John.
Hi.
Thank you for waiting. There was such a lot of lovely things Maya had to tell about you. So we would like to now know from your side, what is that you would really want, or you have to say, or what we can do to get you people together?
Are you sure she said some lovely things about me?
A pretty lot.
I wouldn't believe that. Anyway, what I need to tell you is, we always knew that financial stress is the pivotal thing in our relationship, and that's going on for years. And the strain in our marriage has possibly come, or it has come because of the financial issues. And to overcome that, I took a job where I'm working 18 hours. I don't know whether Maya is even aware what working for 18 hours means, because working at a stretch, having so much of stresses there, the complaints from a lot of guests in the hotel, the kind of food, the attitude of different staff, a lot of complaints come to me. This is not available, this is not in a proper state. And this going for 18 hours. And then you come back home, and whatever little time you have with your wife and child, she keeps nagging. She'll ask me 100 questions. What do I do when you are not here? The purpose why I'm not there is to build a house, which is her requirement. I also need to, I would be too happy. My parents also would be too happy if we stay independently, if we build a house of our own. But they're not in a position to help me financially, my parents. So I have to build it on my own. Now, in any marriage, are adjustments not known? Adjustments will have to be done. I understand her problem that she has a language barrier, but my parents are not bad. They understand her cultural needs, her religious needs, and they have given her the freedom, and so have I. I've not come in her way of her religious expressions. But she keeps on nagging about trivial issues. I can understand that I'm away, but whatever little time I have, I give entirely to her. I try and listen to her problems after coming from the hotel and gone through a lot of problems that the staff at the hotel, the client at the hotel talks about. Within a year, I'm expected to get a promotion. Should I just give that up now when things are going upwards? I just can't afford to just let go this promotion. And with this promotion will come possibly my financial capacity to take a loan and live separately. The cost of living in Kochi is much, much lesser than in Mumbai. She's aware of that. If you go back to Mumbai, the costs are going to be high once again. And then that dream project of having a house in Mumbai seems an impossibility, because you would be aware the cost in Mumbai, real estate is very, very high. She is definitely a good mother. But I don't want to say that in front of her, because if she takes that point and she goes to court and says, he's agreed that I am a good mother, maybe I lose even custody if she sticks to the fact that she wants to go for divorce. I don't want a divorce. I'm still in love with her. It's not for the child. It's for the relationship that I want to have with Maya. So I'm not wanting a divorce. I mean, like, I will try my best. In fact, in the meantime, while this was going on, I did speak to my higher ups in the hotel and said, see if you can have some possibility of giving me accommodation. They said they would try for that. And in fact, they gave me an option of a small place. It's very small. It's meant for a single person to occupy. At this stage, I fear even telling her that, ki, would you be able to come and stay in this place? I would be willing. I have also spoken to the hotel authorities, and they have told me that they have requirements for, event managements, because we host a lot of events. And these events are not only in Malayalam, but they are in English, Hindi, Marathi, which Maya understands well. Because theater and managing events where you need to speak, you need to coordinate, are something which have a similar kind of a thing. I'm in talks for all this. For whom? It's not for me. But the channel of communication has come to an end. I want to tell her this, but she's not there to listen to me. I hope you will be able to communicate this to her so that we get back together soon. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, John. Thank you. There are a few things that I would like to know. Have you ever discussed about this accommodation and event management to her?
As I just mentioned, that the channel of communication has come to an end. She is not ready to listen. If I bring up some topic, she just wants to say no, or she's not listening. She will hang up the phone. She feels now she's got a job in Mumbai and now she's well settled. But is this life? I mean, I need a channel to express to her that I have talked to my authorities and they will consider. Obviously, they would interview her. They'll see whether she is competent to carry out those events. I'm confident about that. I'm making my efforts to bring this together within the limited means I have. But I need her cooperation.
So,
If she's ready to cooperate, if she's ready to listen to me, it
I
appears that she's not going to listen to me. And that's why I'm here, hoping that you will impress on her to consider this.
right,
I
well,
just
we
have
are
one question. Can I ask one question to you, John?
Yes,
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Mary's future as a religion-wise and her future-wise, both?
as husband and wife, we have discussed this, and she is open to her following any faith that she wants to. And I've been taking her to the church, and later when I could not manage because of my commitments, she has been taking. I will not deny that fact. I already said she has been a very good mother, and she continues to take the child. There are times when I'm not able to do it. I ask her to do that. Maybe it's a little inconvenient for her because it may be a little out of place for her because her faith is different, and I respect that.
So consider it
She-
of you.
So it is, if she finds that difficult to, my parents would be too happy to take her to the church. But so far, she's not said anything about that. So I'm unsure whether I could understand maybe it's inconvenient, but she has not expressed it so obviously that she doesn't want to maybe do that.
Okay. But will your parents be able to do that?
Definitely, they go there every Sunday, so they'll be too happy to take their granddaughter along and spend time with her and inculcate good beliefs in her. So I don't think they would be averse to. My parents are good. They have a good rapport with her. It's not that there is a dislike or a obvious fight between the daughter-in-law and the in-laws. Not at all. Not at all.
By what we have received from the application from both your side was that both of you had financial
We'll
things
call
for
Maya
which you
first.
move to
Can
one
we call
second.
Maya
I'll just,
in now?
no,
Yeah.
no, just talk to John. Financial issues for which you moved to Kochi and you had agreed to stay separately from the parental thing, but because of some problem, you have stuck together. So that would be something which you should talk about. And because you're saying such good things about her, like she did about you, that she's a good mother. Accommodation is something which you can talk, event management which she can take. Probably you can put these things in your words to her because both of you have come on this forum. We would like you to talk, open up and talk. This might help in your misunderstandings come up together is what we feel. What you're trying to say is you have to put it in words. We could really think this could take it forward. So let us see if we get Maya in and you together, how you people take it forward. Is it okay?
Yeah, I'm fine with that, but I don't know whether she'll be ready to listen. I really
Just
need
give this a chance.
both of you to help me out because
We will. We are there for you.
We are there to
Let's
help.
give
the
it a
moment I start saying something, even the looks that she was giving as though I'm doing something very gravely wrong. That's not my intention.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
the
Just
same
give it
John.
a chance. I'm sure because both of you seem to be uh, saying a lot of positive things to each other. So let's talk it out in positiveness. This is where we want you guys to look at each other and say this. And I'm sure that if need be, we will again talk to her separately. But we need to understand that both of you are putting your heart.
Yeah.
Very good. Excellent. It's going. A couple of tips. These are really advanced tips that I'm giving you all because you all are already doing very well. When you're talking to the person, continue little bit of interaction from your end, either acknowledging or asking that question because it looks more, the person feels that you are engaged. Yes, your body language was perfect. It was quite obvious because you all were nodding. There was that, it was quite clear that you all were very, very attentive and you all knew what was going on. But a little bit of more interaction from your end can help the party feel that they are being heard. That's one part. At this stage, I would invite you to have either, like a chronological list of what are the things that you all want to discuss between the mediators. If you are alone, you have it for yourself. So you are not getting into the session just randomly and allowing them to take charge. You take charge so that you can either have issues or you can have your agenda, whatever you feel it is. So that point by point, for example, now in this case, you all itself can find out there is the house issue, the shifting issue.
First thing is they do not want a
the
divorce. That is a one positive thing. Both of them do not want a divorce.
So that's a very good point, Dr. Ketki, that you can actually say that, what we have realized that there is tremendous respect and love between the couple. There have been some misunderstandings. So that's how you start your joint session. But both of them are not looking for so that's exactly, she's got the point. So you start the session on a positive note and then over there, but don't let the session flow. When you go into the thing, you have to have an agenda. Please go ahead.
I think can you talk about can I talk with the advocate Desai first and then you have a joint session?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So we we will talk about that they both are positive about continuing it together. So the further thing what we can ask them to talk about is that what they feel about each other, the best parts, and probably we can tell them that if they can put each one of them put their viewpoints of what they expect as a definitive thing.
Yeah, first is,
What
yeah,
they
no
can
divorce
offer
like
to
you
each other.
said.
What they
Can
can
we say
offer to
that
each
the
other.
main issue is she is feeling isolated and stuck career-wise in a relationship, whereas
She
he
said
is
not
very
to.
busy.
She said not to mention. She only said you can mention she doesn't want to go back to her parents.
Yeah.
So this point is very clear that she doesn't want to. But probably we can start with John saying that please give what options that he thinks she has. And then probably we ask Maya what does she think about it.
Yeah. What we can do, yeah.
So you can take it forward.
No.
Maya ji and John.
Yeah. Are you both there?
Yeah.
So, welcome you back again for this joint session. And we have been talking separately to both of you. And what we have realized is you still have very much respect and love in this relationship. And both of you don't want to go ahead with divorce, if that is what we have understood correctly. But obviously, there are points that you need to work on your relationship. And I think you both have excellent solutions to the problem. And we would be very happy if you both talk to each other about your problems, because what we understood is the communication is the main crux of your relationship for so long. You have been communicating well. So if you start communicating well, I think these problems can be resolved very easily. So I think both of you should be talking to each other. I think John can say his options first and say something to her. And then let's see what Maya says about it.
Hi, Maya. Sadly, we have to speak in front of witnesses. I would have liked to speak maybe separately. And I have to learn from Advocate Desai and Dr. Wad that you are ready to speak to me. I've been trying this for so long to tell you something, which I could never put across because you would hang up or you just close the channel of communication. We've always worked towards maintaining this relationship. And I understand that you had these issues with cultural differences, non-availability of a job in Kochi. In that place, they have limited number of jobs, and it's high on my mind. I don't say that I was totally oblivious of what was happening in your mind. What I did all this while, I looked for a place. I asked my authorities if they could give me the accommodation that is available to the employees. Ordinarily, they don't give because that accommodation is meant for a single person and not for it's not a family accommodation. So it's a very small place, which probably we are not really used to, or something that we can't get married also living in that house. But I'm sure with the kind of relationship we had and a very understanding Mary, if we could accommodate ourselves in that house till I get a promotion and uh, we go into a better house. It's not far off. What I've said, 1 year I'll get a promotion is actually not far off. I've given the longest time. Maybe it will happen in few months also. Once that happens, we'll shift into a house of our own. I'll get a loan. I know you may be feeling it very inconvenient to take Mary to uh, uh, the church every Sunday. Some Sundays I'm not able to take her. You've been cooperative with me all this time. You've never objected, but I can see it on your face that though you are not objecting, it's something that you don't want to do it all the time. You want me to share that responsibility. I will do it as often as possible. And my parents, in any case, go to the church every Sunday. So I'll request them to take the child. They will be very happy to do so. The only reason I would request you is you get adapted to the religious beliefs that we have, know what differences we have, and maybe a child also understands that, it's an amalgamation of different beliefs, and maybe she'll choose whichever faith she wants to. So we can work it out about the church also. My parents will be too happy to take her whenever I can't. But I'll encourage you also to once in a while go there. You will not be influenced. The choice is entirely yours to decide on that. I know that being a working, or you have so many of qualifications and skills. I spoke to my hotel management, and they said that they have opportunities for event managers. I think event management is not entirely different from what we have learned, the skills that we have learned in the theater. It's playing out some role. So I'm sure you can try that out. They don't give you a too great remuneration, but it will keep you occupied and it will give you some financial independence. And as you work more and more in that field, maybe it could be your career also. I've been trying all this. It's not for anybody else, but the both of you, or maybe the three of us. Can you consider this, please?
On one point, event management, she doesn't have a language skill in Malayalam. So
Yeah, these events, because Kochi is such a place where it's more of tourism. So it's not for the locals that these events are organized. It is mainly for the tourists who come from different places, even from foreign countries and within the country from different places. And Maya is very conversant in not only English, Hindi, Marathi. So that really works. And her one-liners are something that actually attracted me. She can use that to her benefit. I think all that creativity, that spontaneity has been lying dormant, and I would like that to come up. Would you like to do that, Maya?
yes, Maya.
John, the reason I fell in love with you 8 years ago was because I thought you were this person who really understood me. And that continued for all the time till Mary was born, all of that. But in the past 1 year, I think I've lost that, John. You've said all these things today here, and they all make sense. But why do I feel that they are sort of suggestions telling me what I should do? Whereas all that I expect from you is to be able to give me a chance to tell you how I feel. Not once have you acknowledged and told me that, Maya, it must be difficult for you to stay here and not have your friends, because you know how important my friends and meeting them and talking to them was for me. Not once have you come across that. Even now, take up this job. I will find you this job. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for my husband. That husband who was ready to listen to me. But I don't even see that happening now. I've already found myself to say a job. I'm very happy doing it. I don't have any problem with your parents, and you know that. But for my own, and I don't even want to break this marriage. And that's not the reason why I came to Bombay in the first place. I came here because I needed a break. But unfortunately, I just feel that you were never there to listen. I want you to be able to make yourself available for me, for 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 being able to share what we shared in all these years and which disappeared in the past year. I understand you are busy and that you're working for us. I have never ever said that you're not a good father. That's definitely nothing. I mean, I don't have my doubts about it. But that's not all that you need in a marriage. I need to be understood. I need to feel heard, and I'm not feeling heard. As much as we can try and work out something, I have a job in Bombay right now, and I'm very happy doing it. I don't want to move away from you, but at the same time, I do feel for my own, happiness in terms of what I do creatively, I'm open to the idea of looking at options in Kochi. It's not that I'm not, but I'd like you to be open to the idea of me wanting to do and sticking to do what I want to do without being told what to do. And that's how we were all this while. We would discuss every single thing. And I don't know what happened in the last 1 year, but there was no discussion. Till you are able to get that promotion, till you're able to get that bigger house, maybe we can just live apart. It's just a matter of a year. So that we both give each other some space, and yet we are able to give each other the time and the energy to be able to hear each other out. So that I have the confidence that you are willing to listen. Are you willing to listen?
So, John, Maya has put up that she's open to the dialogues of coming back to Kochi, if I'm right, what I understand. But what she is not able to take up, the point is that she feels it is you who takes the decisions. She wants to be heard. She wants to sit and discuss it out and put it as a point along. And she feels that she wants to be part of that decision making. It's not one-sided. So what do you feel about it?
You know, I used to call her Mo Maya all the time out of love. And somehow I feel like using that Mo Maya. It's always, I've been listening to you, and so have you been. But imagine when a person comes back after 18 hours of work, and even before I have kept my bag, you start off by saying, today this happened, that happened, I got a phone from here, I got this, and nobody in the house is there to listen to me. Give me a minute to settle. I've come from an area of stress. Let me settle for 2 minutes. If I'm going to listen to this immediately after I come home, imagine how I would feel. I would not have the patience to listen. Maybe I was wrong, but Mo Maya, expect that from you too. Wouldn't I expect that as a husband? I expect you to be at least giving me 2 minutes to breathe. You've done that in the past. My concern here is not about the physical presence. If you feel that we can stay away for a year or so and still be husband and wife, I'm still open to this geographical distance, but I don't want the mental distance to be between us. I want to remain John for you, and you more Maya for me. If that's going to happen, I'm still happy. I know you'll take care of the child more beautifully, more better way than me. If she misses me, I'll come down there to Mumbai. If you feel that's the best option we have till I get a promotion, I'll do it. I'll stay here independently, work more harder so that my promotion is even faster than what was expected, and I'll be too happy to receive you. I don't want you to be out of my life. I don't want you to have unpleasant memories, which will erase all those good memories we had in the past. So if that's the best option, if you're not considering coming to Kochi, getting the job that is offered, the accommodation that is being offered, I'm okay with that. But I don't want a mental separation. These legal notices will come, they will go. They're just done at somebody's instance, hoping that things will get better. If they're going to worsen it, I'm withdrawing it. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. I just wanted something from both of you, that how will you go about it now that you're trying to come together or staying separately for some time or the other? But how do
I'll
you
stop you all here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was fantastic. The only thing that I will say now, this is typically how it will go on, and because it's a matrimonial dispute, it will go on like this. The only suggestion that I have over here, it's in fact, I felt like it was very similar to one of the cases that I've been doing. The same way, even the dialogues are the same. It's like very good acting by both the actors and very good mediation also. The only thing is a little technical point, and that is about having you don't give a complete free hand to the parties. Then, and also jumping directly to the solution. Instead of saying, what are your options? What are the ways that you want to go ahead? Stay at the point where let's explore what is the problem. Because both of them see the problem differently. Okay, the fact is that they're saying separately, but both of them see it differently. If your questioning is different, you are still at that stage where they are looking at the problem and first understanding the problem as the same thing. They still don't have the same definition of the problem. The problem is still, he wants me to come to Kochi and she wants me to be, she wants to stay away from me. She's taken the daughter away. So you have to bring them to the point where the problem definition is the same so that they both start looking at the problem together. If you try to find a solution before that, you all are basically going to get into this rut of what is going on. It's still a beautiful conversation. There's no problem in a long-term mediation to have this conversation. And you can consider it a communication stage. But there is a slight possibility of this getting into an impasse. If you see how this conversation will go. But if you, instead of that, go ahead in defining the problem for both of them, for that, explore the problem further. What's your typical day in Bombay like? What's your typical day in Kochi like? What happens when you come home? So when you ask these questions, one thing is John hears it from her that how her day is completely different in Bombay and Kochi, and why she's in Kochi. I mean, she's in Bombay, not because of him or his parents, but because her day is different. The structure of her day is different. She feels better there. He understands. We are all, we have to consider that they are intelligent. We don't have to translate it for them. And then when she tells you, you summarize it. Oh, so you seem much happier in Bombay. You are, you are getting your creative freedom in Bombay. You seem to like your job. Then that suggestion may not come or the suggestion may change. And then you don't give John a chance to reply to her. You ask John questions. What's your typical day like? the same question. Then he will tell you, I come back home and I'm lonely. I want to look at my child and she's not there. That's when she understands his perspective, just by questioning. So those are some small things which I think you all will now understand where I'm coming from. It's the definition of the problem, which is separate. Right now, it's both of them still looking at the problem from their perspective. So you go into a solution mode, you're getting into an impasse. Wonderful. Dr. Subodh, I don't know if all of y'all are also theater artists. You'll get into the role and really play it well.
I've
Yeah.
done stage acting, a
Quite
course,
obvious
and
because you understood and
actually,
enjoyed the
actually,
class.
tears started flowing from my eyes.
I could see that. Like he was so much into the role. Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. So, Dr. Sundu was telling us that we should have a, real life. I could actually see that both of them, the comments that were the way they were, because it's a very small structure that we have given, but they have put in their own feelings and facts in it. And it's quite, I have some of the statements coming out were like real cases which I've handled. I said, "Are inko kaise pata?" So great.
You didn't maintain the confidentiality, Alvi. You told us everything.
Yes. Yes. So great. So this is where we are with the course. In case you all still want to practice further, you all can do that. We are happy to help you practice such scenarios. But I think for you all don't need practice. You all need to see real scenarios and get into real scenarios rather than such role plays. So you will get an email from CMC next week, which will basically have your certificate, and also you all will have the empanelment details and all of that. And Neha will organize a personal call with each one of you to explain the process. So if you have any questions, you can ask her during that personal call, one-to-one. And we are hoping that you join our panel. We create a panel and we raise awareness, and we hopefully build a bridge for hospitals to be able to explore mediation in their conflict resolution practices.
Can we hold awareness programs through CMC?
Yes, definitely.
For doctors, because now we have all understood the importance, and we are going in actually immersed in that whole process. So
Yes.
we want others also to know. So if CMC would be willing to organize something like this, maybe all of us can put the point forward, because we've understood superficially, but I think we can.
Definitely. We would, I'm sure CMC would love to do that. But the thing is that it's better that it's organized by the doctors. Also, now we will not have a panel with just lawyers. We'll have a panel with doctors on board who can talk about it, and how they feel that this is relevant to their practice. So it will be fantastic. We should organize it, and we're very happy to organize it.
Thank you, all the speakers. It was wonderful listening to your experience and the way you actually navigated through the whole course. And uh, Maya, you can change your name to Meenakshi. Meenakshi and Mrunalini. That was really, you coordinated it so well. I mean, like, it was a great experience. Uh, Time was always a constraint. I'm sure even Dr. Balsara, Dr. Preeti,
Yeah.
everybody had, even Sudhir Rai, he is such a busy COO. He took out time from all this. We all had time constraints. In fact, on 2 days, I was traveling and I was listening on the way. But it was something that brought us there. The internet access is not an issue. Nothing is an issue. Everything can be set aside and time can be spared for this. I had my issues with time, which I mentioned to you right at the
Yes,
beginning,
yes.
but I practically attended all of them because uh, time was still a constraint, but the attraction for attending this course was far more interesting than the time for something else. I can
Thank-
do those things even at a later time. Thank you
Thank
so much. I can't thank you in words. It's really difficult to express.
So
I
kind
would
of you.
Thank you.
I would thank all of my colleagues.
Yes.
And Gandaji, in spite of your health, you've really taken
Yeah.
us very well through this program. Mrinalini, who has been really marking each step of us to coordinate for every point, she's really helped us a lot. Kamakshi for staying there and really putting few questions for us which we could relate after understanding the entire class. Oh, this is what I need to. And Dr. Deepa for the advocate Yadav.
Ah.
Yes, I'll never forget that.
She takes
Yeah.
the trophy.
Yes, yes, of all.
Thank you, Ganda. Thank you. Despite your health issues, you really did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
And of course, thanks to Mrinalini, Kamakshi, all of you all, and Tanu also, of course, for arranging this course. It was wonderful. A lot of insights into negotiation and mediation, and really enjoyed it. And thanks to all my colleagues also for being there. It was lovely, lovely meeting you all, although online, but hope we meet in person sometime.
That's
Really
what I
hope
wanted
we
to
meet.
ask. When will
The
we get to
best
meet
part
in
is
person?
Dr. Balsara is affiliated to the same hospital where
Yeah,
I am, but
and
we
we've
have
never
never
met.
met.
Never met.
I think we'll.
I think we'll all gate crash.
Sure, sure.
You know, I've already gate cashed with Ketki.
Ah.
Hurry, she's there only.
Wow, that's nice.
Good.
That's nice, yeah, lovely.
Dr. Advocate Desai and Dr. Ketki has to tell me the NEFT details. I'll have to forward the fees, right?
You may want to pay for your wife also.
But Ganda, really, you all were very professional and very structured.
Yeah.
And it's not easy teaching a bunch of doctors. So you all did a very, very, very good job. And you all tolerated us through everything. I think that itself gives you all, we all have to clap and say thank you for teaching us something new. And let's hope we can take it ahead. And I think we've all become a family. So I think wherever we are, I think we're very comfortable with each other over the last 3 weeks. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yes, sure.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
nice meeting everybody. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
really.
Thank you.
I
Thank
would
you.
propose a meeting at least once a year and continue the CMC WhatsApp.
Yes,
Very
yes.
good. Yes. The WhatsApp group will continue, definitely. We don't close the group. And any questions, of course, anything you'd like to share. In fact, if there's a case that y'all are doing or which needs to be discussed, or if we feel that we need the doctors on board for a case we are doing, let's put it out there and have that meeting that JP was talking about.
Yeah.
So that we learn from each other. And yes, we'll also work on meeting in CMC together.
In person.
Yes, and definitely work in this area. I think the area needs it, and we all would be very happy to work in that area.
Wishing
Dr.
you all a very,
Sudhir, there will be some ground rules for the WhatsApp
Big
group,
Pune.
right? No good morning, good good afternoon, good
Yeah.
night.
I think nobody has that
Do
kind
we
of
all
time
agree?
in this group.
Do we
I
all
think nobody
agree?
will do that.
Yes, yes, we agree.
I hope all of you would love to come to Pune once in a while for all this training. And
I come very often. In fact, I come bang opposite Ruby Hall.
no, I'm in Injewadi,
Acha, acha,
IT hub.
acha, acha. Okay.
So whenever you come to Maine, also tell. We will meet.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We are always happy to come to Pune.
Happy New
Okay.
Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all.
Happy
Yes.
New Year.
Thank you. We are to meet all of you.
So 2024.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Right.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Okay.